Republicans still see Trump as their most important political figure. His endorsement still matters, as we saw in that Maryland governor's race. But when they are looking forward rather than looking back, more and more Republicans are saying enough. I don't want to focus on the past. I want to focus on the future. I don't want to focus on Donald Trump and an election that is now 2 years old. I want to focus on inflation. I want to focus on crime. I want to focus on Ukraine. And this is causing a significant problem for Trump. And I think it's the reason why he's more likely than not to announce in 2022 rather than wait till 2023. And one final point, if he does announce, he could actually cost the Republicans the House as well as the Senate. If the election is about the economy, Republicans win both. If the election is about Donald Trump, Republicans lose both.
Tim Miller, a columnist for The Bulwark and former RNC spokesperson, has had it with the GOP pandering to Trump. I'm Yasmin Khan with Rebel HQ, and in a recent piece, Miller starts off by reminding us of the now infamous, albeit anonymous, quote that was published in the Washington Post in November 2020. The quote came from an unnamed GOP official who asked, quote, "What's the downside for humoring him?" Him is Trump, of course, and the thing they don't see a downside for is Trump's big lie, his unfounded, unproven, and frankly completely nonsensical and illogical assertion that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Not even 2 months after that quote was published, the United States saw its Capitol attacked by crazed Trump supporters who were explicitly there trying to stop the steal and hang Mike Pence. They went to the Capitol in the first place because Trump asked them to. They've said as much during testimonies while under oath. The thing that stands out in Miller's piece isn't the fact that there was always going to be an obvious downside for humoring a guy like Trump, who had and still has a cult-like grip on his supporters. This anonymous GOP official doesn't sound like he has the best insight or foresight or just regular sight. Like, how could he not have seen the writing on the wall or the ketchup on the wall? Maybe he wasn't watching us over here at TYT, because I feel like we all could have told him several downsides to humoring Trump and his big lie. And we've had more than our share of I told you so moments since Trump first ran for office back in 2015. But this GOP official can't have been so off base. More likely, as Miller writes, it wasn't that there wasn't a downside for humoring Trump, it was that there was an upside for doing so. And that upside was securing the base, always. It's always been about securing the base, but not just the people, the money they bring with them. Trump and Trumpism is a fundraising cash cow for the GOP right now. Radicalized people donate money to causes they believe in, and Trump supporters are pretty radical in their thinking. And I know, progressives get called radical all the time because we want people to have the ability to earn a living wage and to have access to health care. But on the right, they want to hang the vice president. They chanted it in the streets. They built a gallows and brought it to the Capitol. A trebuchet would have been more impressive, but this isn't a both sides argument. It's all a little off balance. And of course, I'm editorializing a little bit, but the fact remains that Trump supporters have always been who they showed us to be in broad daylight on January 6th. One thing that senior leadership within the Republican Party seems to have constantly underestimated is Trump's staying power. Cult leaders don't just disappear or go away, and narcissists don't relinquish control over individuals without a hell of a struggle. Similarly, those within the grip of said narcissists have trouble freeing themselves from it. It messes with their worldview, but it also affects the ways in which they view themselves. Their own identities get called into question, and many don't want to deal with the possible trauma of actual self-reflection. It's a process for everyone involved, but it's a process that hasn't been made any easier by GOP officials who have continued to parrot and legitimize, or at the very least, not denounce Trump's claims. Trump was never going to go away quietly after the 2020 election. He wasn't going anywhere after the insurrection. It's been nearly 2 years since he lost the election, and we're still here talking about him. He's still making headlines, and more importantly, we're still dealing with the damage his administration and subsequent coup attempt has inflicted on this country and our people. His supporters are still waving flags with his name on them, and GOP members are still seeking his endorsement in their local and statewide elections. But we can't blame Trump for perpetuating Trumpism. If it was just coming from Trump, I would imagine most of what comes out of his mouth would just be dismissed as the ramblings of a disgruntled ex-employee, or a delusional rich man who's isolated himself so much from the rest of society that he barely knows or cares what society is anymore. We can blame the GOP, though. Trump's ramblings are nothing without all of Fox News and the Republican Party repeating them while being totally lucid and presumably of sound mind. Those ramblings are nothing without otherwise respected people giving pause to them, considering the angle and asking the questions that no one else wants to ask, like, does Trump actually have a point here? Thank you for your service, Tucker. There is a difference between being so open-minded that things that sound ridiculous to most people sound plausible to you, and being a willing pawn within a larger conspiracy that ultimately has nothing to do with you. I think we can all agree that Republicans are decidedly not open-minded, so all of their posturing around, maybe Trump has a point, maybe we should build a wall to keep the Mexicans out, maybe Haiti is maybe it's not so bad to just grab women. All of that posturing is just a sad and fearful group of people trying to justify their sadness and fear by finding an external source to blame, redirecting their pain and hatred towards others rather than looking within and realizing that Black and brown people don't want to hurt you. They just want to live. The LGBTQ community isn't trying to indoctrinate you or your children. They just want to live. And women don't want to murder babies. They just want to live. But speaking of living, it seems that, according to Miller's piece, instead of ushering Trump out of the party, the GOP is now just waiting for him to die. They refuse to take responsibility for the monster they've created and inflicted on the American people and the globe. They refuse to clean up the mess they made, and they're fine to let the whole world literally burn, because they're too cowardly to say the things that everyone else is and has been saying. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and follow me over on IG and TikTok.